You know, there's something fascinating about the way time shapes us. A lot of people fear aging. They see it as this inevitable decline, this slow erosion of everything they once were. But you and I both know that's not how it works for everyone. Some people, rare people, don't just survive the passage of time, they thrive in it. They evolve, they sharpen. They grow deeper, wiser, and more formidable with every passing year. These people, they're the older Sigma males, and today we're going to dive into why they only get better with age. But let me ask you something right now. Have you ever felt like society keeps trying to put you in a box? Like they're constantly telling you who and what you're supposed to be? The older you get, the more you realize how relentless that pressure is. From the moment we're born, we're bombarded with expectations to conform, to follow the herd, to chase after things that might not even resonate with who we really are. And yet, there's something different about the Sigma male. We don't succumb to that pressure. We don't fit neatly into anyone's box. We operate on our own terms, in our own time, and with a sense of purpose that feels almost impenetrable to the distractions of the world. But here's the thing about being a Sigma male. It's not always easy, especially when you're younger.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Those early years, they're like a crucible. You're figuring out who you are, navigating a world that doesn't really understand you. Maybe you felt misunderstood or even isolated, like you're walking a path no one else seems to recognize. But what sets you apart is the fact that you keep walking anyway. You don't need validation from others. You don't need a cheering crowd. And because of that, you develop something rare. Resilience. You learn to rely on yourself in a way most people never do. And that self-reliance becomes a foundation that only grows stronger as you get older. Now, let's talk about time. Because time, for a Sigma male, isn't the enemy, it's the ally. Think about it. Most people spend their lives chasing things that are fleeting: popularity, trends, superficial success. They burn themselves out trying to keep up with a world that's always changing, always demanding more. But the Sigma male doesn't play that game. We're not interested in running someone else's race. Instead, we focus on things that last. We invest in our skills, our knowledge, our character. And the beauty of that is, these things don't diminish with age. They compound. They grow. They become more refined, more potent, and more valuable over time. And here's where it gets really interesting. As you get older, something shifts. All those years of quiet self-improvement, of discipline, of introspection, they start to pay off in ways you couldn't even anticipate. You become sharper, more grounded, more in tune with yourself and the world around you. Your ability to read people, to navigate complex situations, to stay calm under pressure, it all reaches a level most people can't even comprehend. And because you've spent so much time cultivating your inner world, you find that you're less affected by the chaos of the external one. While others are panicking, chasing, and reacting, you're steady. You're composed. You're in control. But let's not romanticize this too much. Being a Sigma male, especially as you age, comes with its own set of challenges. For one, the older you get, the more you realize how rare your mindset really is. You might find it harder to connect with others, simply because your priorities and perspectives are so different from theirs. While they're obsessing over things like status, appearances, or petty dramas, you're focused on things that actually matter: growth, purpose, legacy. And that can be isolating. But it can also be liberating, because it frees you from the need to conform. It allows you to be unapologetically yourself. And let's talk about legacy for a moment, because this is something that becomes increasingly important as you get older. When you're younger, you're often caught up in the moment, trying to figure out who you are, what you want, where you're going. But as you age, you start to think more about the mark you're leaving on the world. For the Sigma male, this isn't about ego or recognition. It's not about having your name in lights or your face on a billboard. It's about impact. It's about knowing that your actions, your decisions, your way of being have contributed something meaningful, whether that's to your family, your community, or even just the people who've crossed your path. And here's where the Sigma male really stands apart. Because while others are busy chasing external validation, we're focused on internal fulfillment. We're not trying to impress anyone. We're not trying to prove anything. We're simply trying to live in alignment with our values, to grow into the best version of ourselves, and to leave the world a little better than we found it. And the older we get, the better we become at doing just that. Now, let's get practical for a moment. Because if you're watching this, you might be wondering, how can I embody this mindset? How can I make sure that I'm getting better with age rather than falling into the traps so many others do? The answer isn't flashy, but it's powerful. It comes down to a few simple principles. First, prioritize self-mastery. This means taking full responsibility for your life, your choices, your habits, your mindset. Stop blaming others or external circumstances for where you are. Recognize that you have the power to shape your own destiny and commit to doing the work it takes to grow. Second, cultivate patience. Remember, the Sigma male doesn't rush. We understand that true success, true fulfillment takes time. So don't get discouraged if you're not where you want to be yet. Keep putting in the work, keep showing up, and trust that the results will come. Third, focus on what you can control. The world is full of distractions, full of things designed to pull you off course. But you don't have to engage with all of it. Learn to distinguish between what matters and what doesn't, and direct your energy accordingly. And finally, never stop learning. One of the reasons Sigma males get better with age is because we never stop growing. We're constantly seeking out new knowledge, new perspectives, new challenges. We understand that the moment you stop evolving is the moment you start declining. So stay curious, stay hungry, stay open to the endless possibilities life has to offer. As we continue this journey into the psychology of the older Sigma male and why they only get better with age, I want you to take a moment and reflect on something. Think about the people around you, your peers, maybe even your family members or colleagues. How many of them seem to be stuck in a cycle, repeating the same patterns, making the same mistakes, chasing the same hollow goals year after year? It's like they've plateaued. They aren't growing, they're stagnating. Now ask yourself this: are you one of them, or are you breaking free from that cycle? Because if you're here, listening to this, I bet you're already different. You're already on a path that diverges from the norm. And that's exactly what makes the older Sigma male so unique. The thing about being a Sigma male is that you've spent your life cultivating a kind of independence that most people will never achieve. You've learned how to think for yourself, how to stand alone when necessary, and how to derive your sense of worth from within rather than from external sources. And as you get older, this independence only deepens. You become less concerned with what others think of you, less swayed by societal expectations, and more focused on living a life that feels authentic to you. This isn't arrogance or apathy, it's clarity. It's the realization that the opinions of others, while sometimes useful, should never dictate your purpose or your path. But here's the paradox. The more independent you become, the more valuable your presence is to others. Think about it. In a world where so many people are desperate for approval, where they'll do almost anything to fit in, the Sigma male stands out as a beacon of self-assuredness. And people are drawn to that. They sense your strength, your calmness, your ability to remain grounded even when everything around you is chaotic. They may not always understand you, but they respect you. And as you age, this respect only grows. Because while others are struggling to keep up with the expectations of the world, you're carving out your own path, and people can't help but admire that. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful advantages older Sigma males have: perspective. Perspective is something that can only come with time and experience. It's the ability to see the bigger picture, to connect the dots between events and understand how they shape the present and the future. When you're younger, it's easy to get caught up in the moment, to react impulsively, to let your emotions drive your decisions. But as you age, you start to see things differently. You begin to recognize patterns, to understand the underlying dynamics of situations, and to respond with intention rather than instinct. This perspective is incredibly valuable, not just to you, but to those around you. It allows you to navigate challenges with a level of wisdom and composure that few others can match. And this brings us to another key point: the power of adaptability. Sigma males are by nature adaptable. We don't cling to rigid structures or traditions simply because that's the way it's always been done. Instead, we approach life with a sense of curiosity and openness. We're willing to question assumptions, to explore new possibilities, and to evolve as circumstances change. And as you age, this adaptability becomes one of your greatest strengths. Because while others are stuck in their ways, resistant to change, you're able to pivot. You're able to see opportunities where others see obstacles. And this ability to adapt, to flow with life rather than fight against it, is one of the reasons older Sigma males continue to thrive, even as the world around them becomes more complex. But let's not ignore the elephant in the room: solitude. For Sigma males, solitude isn't something we fear, it's something we embrace. It's in solitude that we do our best thinking, our deepest reflecting, our most meaningful growing. And as you age, you come to appreciate solitude even more. You no longer feel the need to fill every moment with noise or activity. You're comfortable in your own company. You're at peace with yourself. And this peace radiates outward, influencing the way you interact with the world. You're no longer looking for others to complete you or validate you. Instead, your relationships, whether they're personal or professional, become about mutual respect and shared values, rather than dependency or superficiality. But here's the thing about solitude: it's a double-edged sword. While it can be a source of strength and clarity, it can also lead to isolation if you're not careful. And this is something older Sigma males need to be mindful of. It's important to strike a balance between independence and connection. While you don't need a large social circle, having a few meaningful relationships, people who truly understand and appreciate you, can add depth and richness to your life. The key is to surround yourself with individuals who align with your values, who respect your boundaries, and who inspire you to continue growing. Now, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about legacy. Because as you get older, this becomes an increasingly important part of your journey. But for Sigma males, legacy isn't about wealth or status or material achievements. It's about impact. It's about the ways in which you've influenced the people and the world around you. Maybe it's the wisdom you've shared, the example you've set, or the lives you've touched in ways you might not even realize. The beauty of the Sigma male legacy is that it's often subtle, yet deeply profound. It's not about being remembered by everyone. It's about making a meaningful difference to the few who truly matter. And let's not forget the role of discipline in all of this. Discipline is one of the cornerstones of the Sigma male mindset. It's what allows us to stay focused on our goals, to persevere through challenges, and to continue growing even when it's difficult. And as you age, discipline becomes even more crucial. It's what keeps you sharp, both mentally and physically. It's what enables you to maintain your independence and adaptability. And it's what ensures that you're not just coasting through life, but actively shaping it. But here's the beautiful irony. The more disciplined you are, the more freedom you have. Because discipline isn't about restriction, it's about empowerment. It's about having the self-control to make choices that align with your values and goals, rather than being driven by fleeting impulses or external pressures. And as you master this discipline, you find that you're able to live a life that's not only deeply fulfilling, but also uniquely your own. So to summarize where we are so far, older Sigma males get better with age because they've spent their lives cultivating independence, perspective, adaptability, and discipline. They've learned to embrace solitude without succumbing to isolation, and they've developed a sense of purpose and legacy that transcends the superficial pursuits of the world. They're not just aging, they're evolving, growing, and becoming more of who they were always meant to be. Let's dive even deeper. Now that we've laid the foundation for understanding why older Sigma males thrive as they age, let's explore the profound transformation that happens in the later stages of life. Because this isn't just about getting older, it's about becoming something greater. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that is fully realized, fully aligned, and fully in control. And the truth is, this transformation isn't available to everyone. It's reserved for those who've done the internal work, who've embraced the challenges that life has thrown at them, and who've remained steadfast in their commitment to growth. That's the Sigma male's edge. When we talk about older Sigma males, we're talking about men who have mastered the art of detachment. And I don't mean detachment in the sense of apathy or indifference. I mean detachment in the sense of freedom. Freedom from the need to prove anything to anyone. Freedom from the expectations that weigh so heavily on others. Freedom from the distractions that keep most people from ever truly knowing themselves. This detachment isn't something that happens overnight. It's the result of years, even decades of introspection, discipline, and self-mastery. And as you age, this detachment becomes your superpower. Think about it. Most people spend their lives chasing approval, chasing status, chasing things they think will make them happy. But for the Sigma male, the chase ends early. Not because you don't have ambitions or desires, but because you figured out that external things can never truly fulfill you. You've realized that real fulfillment comes from within, from living in alignment with your values, from pursuing goals that matter to you, and from cultivating a sense of peace and purpose that isn't dependent on anyone or anything else. This is what sets older Sigma males apart. While others are still searching for meaning, you've already found it. And this gives you a kind of serenity and focus that's incredibly rare. But let's not ignore the challenges that come with this detachment. Because while it's liberating, it can also be isolating. As you get older, you might find that your circle grows smaller. Not everyone will understand your mindset, your priorities, or your way of being. And that's okay. Because the truth is, quality always outweighs quantity when it comes to relationships. You don't need a large network of superficial connections. What you need, and what you'll naturally attract as you continue to grow, are a few deep, meaningful relationships with people who truly get you. These are the people who respect your independence, who support your journey, and who add value to your life without trying to change or control you. And let's talk about attraction for a moment. Because one thing that surprises a lot of people is how magnetic older Sigma males can be. It's not about looks or charm or even charisma in the traditional sense. It's about energy. There's a certain energy that comes from being completely comfortable in your own skin, from knowing who you are and what you stand for, and from not needing anything from anyone. This energy is incredibly attractive, not just in a romantic sense, but in a broader human sense. People are drawn to you because you embody something they crave. Authenticity, stability, and a sense of purpose that's unshakable. And the older you get, the stronger this energy becomes. It's like a gravitational pull that draws the right people, opportunities, and experiences into your life. Now, let's shift gears and talk about wisdom. Because this is one of the greatest gifts of aging, and for Sigma males, it's a gift that keeps on giving. Wisdom isn't just about knowledge or experience, it's about the ability to synthesize those things into actionable insights. It's about seeing the patterns, understanding the nuances, and making decisions that are aligned with both your values and the realities of the world. And the older you get, the more refined this wisdom becomes. You start to see life not as a series of isolated events, but as an interconnected web of cause and effect. You understand that every choice you make has ripple effects, and you become incredibly intentional about where you direct your time, energy, and attention. This wisdom also gives you a kind of emotional intelligence that's rare in today's world. You've been through enough to know that life isn't always fair, that people aren't always what they seem, and that challenges are inevitable. But instead of becoming bitter or cynical, you've chosen to become better. You've learned how to navigate the complexities of human relationships with grace and tact. You know when to speak and when to stay silent. You know how to set boundaries without burning bridges. And you know how to stay true to yourself, even in the face of pressure or adversity. This emotional intelligence, doesn't just make you a better leader or friend, it makes you someone people trust and respect on a deep level. But here's the thing about wisdom. It comes with responsibility. The older you get, the more people will look to you for guidance, whether they say it outright or not. They'll seek your advice, your perspective, your steady hand in turbulent times. And as a Sigma male, you have a choice to make. You can hoard your wisdom, keeping it to yourself and using it solely for your own benefit. Or you can share it, knowing that by doing so, you're contributing something meaningful to the world. This doesn't mean you have to become a mentor or a teacher in the traditional sense. Sometimes, the most powerful lessons you teach are the ones you teach simply by living authentically and leading by example. Now, let's address one of the most profound aspects of aging as a Sigma male: legacy. And I don't mean legacy in the material sense, although financial stability and success are certainly important. I'm talking about the legacy of character, influence, and impact. The older you get, the more you start to think about what you're leaving behind. Not in terms of possessions or accolades, but in terms of the values you've embodied, the lives you've touched, and the example you've set. For Sigma males, legacy isn't about being remembered by the masses. It's about knowing that you've lived a life that mattered, a life of purpose, integrity, and quiet but profound influence. And here's the beautiful thing about legacy. It's not something you have to actively pursue. It's something that naturally emerges as a byproduct of the way you live. Every decision you make, every interaction you have, every choice to grow rather than stagnate, it all contributes to the ripple effect of your life. And the older you get, the more you realize just how far those ripples can reach. It's a humbling and empowering realization, one that reminds you of the incredible potential you have to make a difference, even in the smallest of ways. As we wrap this up, I want you to remember one thing. Aging isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace. Because for Sigma males, aging isn't a decline, it's an ascension. It's the process of becoming more of who you were always meant to be. It's the culmination of years of growth, discipline, and self-mastery. And it's the ultimate proof that a life lived authentically and intentionally only gets better with time. So as you move forward in your journey, remember this: you're not just aging, you're evolving, and the best is yet to come.